not much have been said or not much have been given attention to the topic emotions. And it seems like since the beginning of our birth, since the beginning, we have been taught to be rational as we are rational beings. We have been taught to deal with things on the rational level, but it seems like there have been a lot of neglect on how we should deal with our emotions. It's not even included in the curriculum. We are taught how to operate machines. We are taught how to solve problems. But it seems like we are not taught how to deal with our emotions, specifically everyday emotions that we deal with. One striking quote that I learned, or that struck me the most when I was in seminary, was the quote that one of my formators that have said to me. He said that your issue in life, or your issues in life, will be your mission in life. Meaning to say that whatever it is that you go through from the moment you realize that you're problematic, that you're overjoyed, that you're happy, or whatever it is that becomes a form of insecurities, it will be your mission in life. And it seems like because we are not programmed, or because we're not geared to deal with emotions, we are left to deal with it on our own. And because we are not equipped with the proper knowledge or the proper handling of how we deal with emotions, we do trivial things out of it. And as I've said, emotions are probably one of the most used, abused, and misused words, or probably things in life, that we think or we seem to realize or say na parang alam ko to, or I know how to handle this. But in fact, we're actually creeping and we're actually thrilling inside, or probably shaking inside, how we can actually deal with life the way our emotions are controlling us. Start with what you feel, and you can never go wrong with that. Never start with a judgment based on what you feel, because that's a different thing. Allow me to explain that to you. Probably in your earlier lives, of course, under the care of your parents, there are many bawal. Dapat nasa bahay ka, you should be at home by 9 o'clock, or probably you should do things, etc., etc. And you have all these kind of the rules sa bahay. And whenever you are not able to accomplish or comply to these demands, the initial reaction of our parents would usually get mad. For example, uwi ka ng bahay alas 9 because of certain burdensome works or class demands sa school. Whenever you go home, what usually awaits yung bunganga ng nanay. Usually, saan ka nang galing, etc., etc., or probably would say to you, pinikat-pikat ka la, or probably nagburbarkada ka la, or diin ka tikang, naguyab-uyab ka la, something like that. And you're not given the chance even to explain. I know you are laughing, it's because you can relate with it probably. Pero as I've said, I usually tell my wife, if you start with what you feel, you can never go wrong. If the mother could have started with, say, Anak, I love you so much that I fear that whenever you go home late at night, I might lose you. Or you saw your boyfriend or girlfriend talking to someone and you felt that, yung kirot, the jealousy. And because you don't know how to handle this, you don't know what it is, whenever magkakausap kayo, aawayin mo na lang. He would say, ikaw when in fact the only thing you felt, or the innermost desire or the innermost emotion you love, is that you get hurt because you love the person and you don't want the person na makuha lang ng kahit nino, because you love the person. But if you start with that conversation, I love you and I fear to lose you by me looking at you with someone talking to other girls, please don't. The reason why we are to objectify our emotions. And how can we actually objectify emotions when it's a very subjective thing? We say in philosophy that everything is relative somehow. We usually, whatever it is that you make judgments of things outside of yourself, or the experiences you do have about the world, external world, or the realities you experience, these are not actually true about themselves, but these are actually true about who you are. Allow me to tell you, for example, law of physics would say colors do not exist. If I would ask you, what color is this? You would say it's red. But law of physics would tell you, it's not color red, because colors do not exist. Colors are actually your own contribution. Colors are the results of the pigments of light, or the pigments that actually reflects back to your retina, and it's interpreted as color red. Probably the convention of that would be it's color red, but there's no color red at all, because colors do not exist in nature. Because your experience is exclusively yours. That's where subjectivity is. But the reason why we can objectify those experiences, it's because we quantify. We can probably agree that this is how we should describe the world. And emotions is as important as how we describe the world. That's the reason why we cannot say that only knowledge that are verifiable are knowledge. Our emotions as well are also as important as knowledge, the ordinary knowledge that we can actually learn. So I mean to say, there's really that great need how we can objectify emotions. And how can we objectify emotions? On a practical note, I would like to be practical about this. That is when we say, by knowing your context, by knowing what is it that you are actually feeling, you can objectify it, describe it, own it, name it, and that's the point where you can say, that is me. In most cases, because we do not understand much of our emotions, we do trivial. Minsan nga ginagamit ang emotions to manipulate. In your relationships, probably, let us say, for example, no, you try to give so many things to the object of your affection, as if you're trying to control the person. Pag hindi na reciprocate, you get mad. After all the things I have given you, this is what I'm going to get. Because you thought that by trying to control the person using those emotions, you can satisfy the need that you have. The thing is, if we are going to work on our context, if we are really going to be aware of what are the deepest emotions that really govern us, if you listen to your innermost emotions, you will be able to understand the dynamics of what is going on with you. That's why there's an admonition that says, you have to go by your context. Because you have to understand that what may be good to you may not be good to others. What may be appealing to you may not be appealing to others. That's why you always work on your context. That's why it's always a wonder whether successful or not a person is. You always wonder why. What's that strong emotion that governs that person? Allow me to tell you a good story. And I was able to read this from a certain storybook. It was a story about a very successful woman. A woman where a very achiever, valedictorian ng elementary, valedictorian ng high school, summa cum laude nung college, and then when she graduated, pinag-aagawan, and then eventually she became the CEO of a certain company. But one time, she was asked they were able to have that kind of team building, and in the team or in the group where she was asked by a group member, a janitor of that company. And the janitor said, "Ma'am, for the longest time, I wanted to ask you this question." And, "Sure," sabi niya. The janitor asked, "Ma'am, are you happy with all the achievements that you have gained?" You know what? She cried while answering the question, because she paused for a while and she realized that after all these times of all the achievements that she have received, she was not that happy. She was lonely. You know why? Because all along, she wanted to please her father. That insecurity made her so strong by trying to cover up with all the achievements. Meaning to say, sometimes a person who is so successful, we never know actually. The person may probably show a very strong feature, but actually that person is covered with that kind of insecurity, trying to cover up with all the achievements and all the presentations, when in fact, that very core of the person is actually unhappy. That's why we meet so many clowns every day. It's because we try to wear those masks because they don't know how to handle it, and the way to handle it is trying to cover up. Being objective of the emotion that is so subjective is trying to encourage us or trying to challenge us really to be honest with ourselves. Really what is that emotion? And when you try to name it, ask yourself, where is it coming from? And you try to figure out where is it coming from, what is it? You get to become in control of it. And you become in control of the situation, not the situation controlling you. For instance, if you're not aware that you're actually, for example, you're not actually nervous, or you're actually nervous, but it seems like you're not aware that you're actually nervous. That nervousness will control you. But when you come to be aware that you're actually nervous, oh yeah, I'm nervous. You become aware and at the same time be in control of it. So what if I'm nervous? Why am I nervous in the first place? Am I afraid to commit mistakes? Am I afraid to be laughed at? So what if I am afraid to be laughed at? Anybody commit mistakes. Everybody has shit times. So the point there is, when you become aware and name and own, it is my nervousness, it is my emotions, it is my anger, it is my insecurity. So what? It is part of me. And if it's all gone in the past, it's all gone in the past. I can do nothing about it. If everyday life, we deal with these emotions as if it's something that really, overpower us. By knowing, by owning, by naming, by objectifying it, we become always in control of the situation, not the situation controlling us. For instance, you meet professors probably in your college lives, or probably now, you meet professors, hindi ka lang nakapag-submit on time, pinapagalitan ka. And probably, or you're not going to their classes every day, you're coming to class on time, probably they would feel, sabi nila, minamalit ang klase niya. And the thing is, out of an outburst of an emotion, nag-fail ka sa subject. If the professor was aware what was going on with him, probably it would not have been that way. I have an experience like this. There would be students who would be, alam mo yung parang series, nandito naman, wala na naman, nandiyan na naman, wala na naman. So I would usually call their attention before I failed them. So may I talk to you, what is going on with you? And eventually I would come to know that my student is actually going through life, a crisis that cannot be just simply be ignored. She's almost at the brink of committing suicide. Right now, the government is actually trying to figure out to give much attention to mental health. We're spending so much money about, issues about, example, the bill right now about LGBT, and they are all embedded in the feelings and emotions of each and every individual who actually matter. Now, the thing is, I hope, because the TEDx right now is actually that kind of, the theme is building utopia. And I dream for that day would come. It might not be actual, but it is possible. If a day would come where everyone will be taught from a young age how we should deal with emotions, probably we could probably be avoiding, brokenness. Kasi a lot of people have been broken already, just merely because they don't know what to do with it. Like, for example, ang isang bata nakapagsalita ng foul word, you get mad at it because the child was able to speak in a very, inappropriate manner, without you understanding that nagiging bata lang ang bata. Like, for instance, I was trying to teach my little boy, asking him actually, why are you so makulit? Bakit paulit-ulit yung kasalanan or ginagawa? You know what? The conversation stopped when he said, because I'm just a kid. Yes, indeed. We fail to realize that indeed a child's mind is different from your mind. And we're judging things from our perspective, not from their perspective. That's why it is all right to really ask the questions by trying to let the person objectify what he feels. The reason why we are to objectify the emotions, naming it, calling it, identifying it, it's because when you communicate your feelings, not with starting with a judgment, when you communicate your feelings, you're allowing the person to become sensitive to your needs, and at the same time, you're allowing the person to realize the impact of what the person does or said to you. And you're also allowing the other person you're giving the chance to the other person to explain his side. Imagine a world where there are less judgments. In my philo class, I always tell my students, you should suspend your judgments. Because in most cases, your judgments are actually not true about them, but actually true about who you are. People who get by every day, going through the same life crisis, you get mad. So what if I get mad? What shall I do with it? You feel jealous. So what if I feel jealous? So what? What I must do with it? If you're not aware of it, your jealousy, your anger will control and will definitely define your day. That's why we say, bad trip ang araw ko. It's not actually bad trip ang araw. Hindi ka lang naging aware kung anong nagpa-bad trip sa'yo. One last point is that in every emotions, like for example, the strongest emotions that we could have is that love. I would usually say that one of the most used and misused words is the word love. And because we are not equipped how to define it, how to deal with, sometimes we do trivial things. To the point that because you think that love is supposed to be a reciprocity, you try to expect something in return when you give something. Last point that I would usually say to my students is that love is not just a mere feeling, it's always a choice. And if you do not realize that it's a choice and you base that on a fleeting emotion, you're wrong. And that's why most relationships will usually be broken. And the thing is, if you understand what true love means, the measure of one's great love is when you love the person when that person is least lovable. And it does not always mean that it is a question. There's sometimes kasi, I love you, as if you're waiting, I love you back, I love you too. Hindi naman siya tangon. Usually, sinasabi natin na, love is not a reciprocity at all. It's usually a choice that you make, that you give to the other person. And if you do not know that, what that is, you might probably abuse it. That's why, whenever you feel love, dapat akin ka. Dapat ma-reciprocate mo. Whenever you have a crush or liking of someone, dapat akin ka. Dapat i-love back mo rin ako. When in fact, it's simply the desire to be happy because you do something for someone, the object of your love, and it makes you happy, whether you are part of the happiness of that someone. Sabi ko nga, if you love someone, it does not always mean you have to be together, because it is always a choice. And if you don't know what that is, you're probably bound to ruin.